Hey everybody, Rob Reutzel here again, recovering attorney and leader of the solutions team at AA Premier Properties. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what's called the 70% rule. Now, this is a formula that many rehabbers use to calculate the maximum amount they can pay for a property. This is very important because, as most investors know, um, you make your money when you buy. You don't want to overpay. So the 70% rule basically says that you can pay 70% of the price of or of the after repair value of a property minus the rehab costs. So if we have a $200,000 property, which is not very typical here in Winchester or really Middlesex County, um, or north of Boston in the Boston area, but if you have a $200,000 property, you can pay 140,000, which is 70% of the after repair value of that property, minus your rehab costs. So let's say they're 50,000. So in that case, you could pay a maximum of $90,000 for that property. Now, that's great, and if you apply the 70% rule and only buy properties using that rule, you're never going to get into trouble. But on the other hand, when you're in a higher priced market, like Middlesex County and a lot of the markets around the Boston area, if all you're doing is applying the 70% rule, you're not going to get many offers accepted, because as your ARV increases and really as it goes above that 200,000 mark that I mentioned, when it goes to 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, which is not uncommon again here in the Boston area, you can pay considerably more for that property given those higher ARVs. So as we've probably all heard, real estate is local, in some cases hyper local. Can go zip code to zip code, but also house to house. So really knowing that market is absolutely crucial when you're trying to flip. So for instance, if you're talking about, areas of Texas where you have ARVs in the 70 to $90,000 range or something like that, the 70% rule is good, and you may even get properties for less than that. But then if you come here in Winchester, where you're seeing teardowns for $700,000, I'm not saying that's a great price and your numbers are going to work, but when you're seeing ARVs in the million range, 900,000 range, your price can really creep up to 80%, sometimes a little bit higher depending on the ARV. And that's really just because while you are going to be applying high end finishes, there's a linear relationship between your rehab costs and the ARV. So, for instance, a $200,000 house, putting in a kitchen, if you look at it at an $800,000 house, it's usually not four times as expensive to do that same kitchen. So, what's the take home here? You really have to know your market. Another thing to look at is what your exit strategy is. If you're a landlord, typically you can pay more because you're not doing high-end finishes that a rehabber would do. So in those cases, if you're just doing, cheaper rehabs and paint and carpet, usually just your rehab costs in general are going to be lower, and you can pay more than somebody who's flipping that property and is going to be subject to things like short-term capital gains and things like that. As always, Rob Reutzel here, and if you want a free consultation about retail real estate or investment real estate from a buyer or a seller perspective, please feel free to give me a call, 781-729-2425. I'm a part of AA Premier Properties, as I hope you all know. And again, I'd love to discuss real estate with you. Thanks. Bye.